What is up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here at Lake Julian Disc Golf Course. We're looking at mid-ranges. We have the Hex. I love the Hex, and for me the Prism Proton Hex does something that no other mid-range really does, and you can actually see it pop up and then drop. It's very precise, but it does have a finish. So last year I was throwing the Peach a lot, trying to get that straighter pushing or even drifty shot. I don't know if that's where I want to go with this slot, so we're going to try out the Discmania Neo Origin. I want something that'll flip up to flat but then not fade as much as the Hex. So we're going to throw these all today and hopefully show you why I'm looking for something in between the Peach and the Hex, and we'll see if the Origin might be able to fit that bill. We're starting off here on the short pad for hole 12. It's been a minute since I threw a Peach, so we're going to start off with the Hex. So then it's always going to fade. Even if you turn it, Hex is always going to fade. Or at least that one will. Now let's see the Peach. I'm going to throw this on a little bit more hyzer. That's about the shot that I want out of this slot, but at a higher power level. I'm still kind of not throwing it super hard right now. So when we start to power up, we're going to see the Peach turn a lot more. Let's see what the Origin does. That looks more promising. I know it looks like it faded. I threw it on more hyzer than I did the Hex, and I got about the same flight as the Hex. Which leads me to ask, if I throw them on the same angle, is the Hex going to be more stable? I think just based off the plastic initially, I think it will be, but more testing is needed. We've moved from 12 to 9. We're going to throw at the basket, and these discs, I want this slot that I'm looking for to flip up and then not fade out into the OB. I want it to stay straight enough that I can basically flip it up at the basket and then forget about it. As far as points go, the Origin went the furthest, and then the Peach, and then the Hex. So Hex with 1, Peach with 2, and Origin still sitting at 3. Nice and pretty at 3. It's going first. Let me see what the Peach does. Okay. We might just have a headwind right now. No, because the Hex still did the same thing. That's what I don't want it to do. I want this disc to be able to flip up to straight and flat and ride that way without going over that fence, because now I'm going to have to jump it to go get my disc back. We're going to throw the backhand turn over here on 15. The Peach and the Origin's flip-flopped, so they're both sitting at 5, and the Hex is at 2, which makes sense because while I love the slot that the Hex fills, it doesn't fill this slot, which is why it's not working out in this slot. It makes sense, right? Backhand turnover. I think you're going to see a varying degrees of anhyzer as I go down in the discs, because the Peach is the least stable and the Hex is the most stable. So it's gonna, I want it to pan, don't want it to turn and burn. Exactly like that. A little more anhyzer for the Origin. Okay, it was panning, but I definitely grip locked it. Just yanked it straight into the woods. Hex, commit to out there. Yeah, there is no surprise that on the turnover line, the more stable disc I'm most comfortable with, because I did that for so many years. However, I'm not looking for that disc. I'm looking for something different. So, Peach is at 7. Origin is at 6. The Hex took this hole, so moved it up all the way to 5. So, up on hole 16, long pad, we're gonna open up, actually put some power into these and pop them and watch the flights, because I'm looking for as straight as I can possibly get it with as minimal fade as possible. So which disc is gonna give that to me? Hex has the box. See which one goes the furthest here. Okay, I could have thrown that on a little bit more hyzer, which I'm going to do for this next one because it's the Peach, and the -2.1 is real on this disc. You do have to throw it on hyzer if you want it to go straight. See what I mean? Now, how straight can we make the Origin fly? Trying to find the correct amount of hyzer is going to be difficult because I really haven't opened up on it yet, but that's what testing purposes are for. Okay, minimal fade. That's less fade than I get out of the Hex. Let's go throw them on 18, because that might show us something really interesting. So the reason I said this might be interesting is because, well, I felt as a, it's not really a wind, but there is a slight bit of a crosswind on that hole, which means there is a slight bit of a headwind on this hole. Headwind is where you find out which one's flippier and which one's more stable. But we're gonna try to go max distance, punch them on a hyzer, and watch them stand up and see if they stable out. I don't necessarily want this to stable out, but into a headwind, if it pops up and then just slow turns the whole way, that's absolutely perfect. That's what I want from this slot. So Origin went like 50 feet further than everything else on the last hole. No, closer to the basket, no. But it was about which one goes farther, not which one goes closer. So Origin takes this. Origin and Peach are both tied up at 9, and the Hex is at 6. Let's see what the Origin can do here. Big wide open fairway. And no cut roll, so probably exactly what we want. Now it's time for the Peach. Probably gonna start this a little bit more left. So I love the Peach and it's great, but to get it to go straight, you have to throw it on enough hyzer that it will fade. Which is why something in between the Peach and the Hex is really important. Now it's time for the Hex. Oh boy, let's see what we can do. That is why I'm looking for something in between Peach and the Hex. And I think the Origin might be it. We're gonna go throw hole 20, but I think the Origin might have a spot in the bag. We're gonna test it out though. So depending on the course, I think there's a possibility that I could have all 3 of these mid-ranges in my bag at any given point in time. I think for now though, we're just gonna stick the origin in just to kind of feel it out. It's not quite as stable as a hex. It's not quite as understable as a peach. So I'm throwing it a little off right now. So I need to figure out the exact release angle that this disc needs, and then should be pretty good. However, that all being said, origin was the only disc that did not fade out on the last hole. Therefore, origin takes the point, and then peach. Then the hex is last. So currently origin 1 point up over the peach. We're gonna throw hole number 20, and let's see which one goes furthest straight down the fairway. And as a bonus point, if they're the same distance, the closer to the right side without going into the right side will get the point. Like I said, I'm gonna need some time to learn that disc, because thrown on the same angle, the peach flips up, and thrown on the same angle as the hex, it's a turnover. So it's a very fine line that I have to learn. Basically the same angle. Yeah, there's a difference. Okay, well, I'll be able to pick it up when I go back towards the car. That's not what we want. Looks like the origin and the peach are pretty tied up for me. Peach is tied up because I know it, and the origin is tied up because it's actually the disc I want, or it's actually the stability I want. It may not be the disc I want, but it's the right stability, I think. We're gonna play around with it. I hope you're excited to see some more origin shots. If you enjoy content like this, please make sure to like the video. If you want to see new stuff, especially if you have your own version of the origin, or what would fit in between a slightly understable and a slightly overstable mid for you, please make sure to comment all of those down below. We'll see if those can make it into a video. Please make sure to subscribe. It helps you guys out with these subscriber-only giveaways. Definitely helps me out as well. And until next time, see you out on the course.